I am still not entirely sure why the microphones on this camera are still picking up a bunch of garbage and rubbish, even though I taped over the receptors. I'm not sure why these annoying sounds still are, but I will find a way to eliminate them one way or another. In the meantime, we're going to take an early morning ride from Port Arthur to Daisetta in the middle of the beautiful East Texas country. I did find some interesting stats and figures from TXDOT about lane miles and traffic counts. But before we get into that, we should probably refresh on some definitions on those stats. First off, first definition I want us to remember is center lane mileage. This is the mileage of a segment of roadway regardless of the number of through lanes. Centerline mileage for mainlands is calculated separately from centerline mileage for frontage roads, which are considered distinct roadways. Daily vehicle miles of travel. That's the daily number of miles traveled by all vehicles, inclusive of trucks. Now, lane mileage. This is the mileage of all through lanes of a segment of roadway. For instance, a 1 mile segment of highway with left and right roadbeds, each with 4 through lanes, would be represented as 8 lane miles. As with centerline mileage, frontage lane mileage is calculated separately from the lane mileage of main lanes. In the fiscal year of 2023, TXDOT has drawn out 25 different districts for mileage, and winning belongs in the Beaumont district. In the Beaumont district, the total centerline mileage is 9,255.9. The lane mileage is 19,830.6. Comparatively to Houston, the centerline mileage in Houston is 29,719.02. And the lane mileage in Houston is 69,216.97. In 2023, the daily vehicles miles traveled in the Beaumont district was 21,164,886. That's for light duty vehicles only. For trucks, truck miles was about 2,997,806.16 in the Beaumont district. As compared to the Houston district, the Houston light duty mileage was 169,359,691.6. And the truck mileage in the Houston district was 11,469,096.25. Another considerable factor that I want us to look into is the fuel consumption of all of these vehicles on these Texas highways. According to TXDOT, in 2015, the annual consumption of diesel fuel just for the year 2015 was 52.1 billion gallons. That's billion with a B. In 2015, the annual gasoline consumption was 138.8 billion gallons. Combine that diesel and gasoline together, and you get a combined total fuel consumption in the state of Texas of 190.9 billion gallons of fuel in Texas in 2015. That's a lot of fuel. Now, comparatively, in the year 2023, the annual diesel consumption in 2023 was 63.5 billion gallons of diesel. The annual gasoline consumption in 2023 in Texas was an even 150 billion gallons of gasoline, for a combined fuel consumption of 213.6 billion gallons of fuel in the year 2023. That is a lot of energy. And yes, that does prove the reason that Texas is the energy capital of the nation. Lots of energy needed for multiple causes. If those numbers do tell you one thing, it does tell you that Texas is big and it relies a lot on 2-wheel and 4-wheel vehicles and 18-wheel vehicles as well. Seriously, the highway system in Texas is massively huge. And that doesn't count just interstates either. That counts the farm to market systems, the U.S. highway systems, the Texas highway systems, the whole smash. Now, as I was saying, this is an early morning ride through the countryside of East Texas. And as always, there are some major safety concerns that you really must consider before you even get on the road at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. First off, from my personal experience, make sure, one, you have had plenty of rest. Get plenty of sleep, and make sure it's a good night's sleep. It cannot be rough. It cannot be jarring. It has to be the most comfortable sleep that you can imagine. If you wake up like you've just been reborn or just feel like you're on top of the world, then that's probably a good sign that you're okay. So get plenty of rest. Secondly, make sure you do whatever it takes to have a good breakfast before you hit the road. I tend to function a lot better with a full stomach and just a little touch of coffee. Not a whole lot, but it tends to help me. Now for the vehicle itself. As you should anytime that you ride, even if it's in the middle of the day or at night, no matter what, make sure that obviously your motorcycle is in proper working order. Through regular maintenance and regular checkups, the vehicle should be okay if you regularly maintain it. If there's a defect, have it addressed immediately. Now, specifically for night riding, make sure that all of your lights are working. Not just your taillights on the back and the blinkers on the back if you have them, but also, especially, your headlight in front of your fairing or in the very front of your fork. You gotta make sure your headlight, both low beam and high beam, are functioning fully. And as you can see on mine, they are. And actually, this bike came with an extra bonus when I bought it. In addition to the main headlight on the fairing with both low beam and high beams functioning normally, there are additional auxiliary lights at the front fork that give me additional lights for these very dark highways. It does make a good bit of difference, and I'm very blessed to have those on this bike. Now, while you are riding, only go as fast as you can see and stop. If your visibility is not that good, slow down. That goes with any vehicle, not just motorcycles. However far your headlights can see, make sure you can stop within that distance. It would be an absolute nightmare if you were going faster than you can see and not avoid a hazard. So again, watch where you're going and always look for exit routes. Now, I love the country roads that are almost in the middle of nowhere because sometimes there's not a lot of traffic. Actually, most of the times there are not. But of course, Texas 73 here that I'm on is a genuine exception because of the intense traffic going to and from the Golden Triangle from all those workers working in the refinery and construction areas who are going to parking lots to hitch a ride with a coach to go to their work site. A lot of times during these shift rotation times, a lot of times the vehicles will pop out of their parking lots and not look left and right. And sometimes accidents tend to happen, which is where you got to watch out. And that's why you need to make sure you have an exit route no matter what. And as always, I'm always a big advocate for this. Make sure there's plenty of nose room between you and the traffic in front of you. Another thing about country roads that might seem scary for some is that there's no streetlights. There are no streetlights on a lot of these country roads, and Texas 73 is right there with it. Not a lot of lights out there at all, so as always, be even more extra careful. And the only lights you'll really see is at an interchange or at an intersection. So again, always tread with the utmost caution. Another way to be a cautious rider is to make sure that you do whatever it takes to be absolutely comfortable while you are riding. All the preparation can be done at home. For example, I knew it was going to be a semi-cool 60 degrees or cooler going on this ride since this was at the beginning of November. So for this ride, I am all geared up. I got my full leather chaps on my legs, my full leather jacket on my torso, and of course my leather gloves on my hands. But what you might not see, or maybe you did see at the very bottom of the screen when I was turning right and left, is I'm also including a neon orange vest. This neon orange vest has reflecting tape on it to give even more visibility on these very dark roads. And honestly, even though I'm not a particular fan of it during the day, I absolutely love this neon orange vest for this nighttime riding. It just makes me feel like I'm a lot more visible, and it just makes me feel a lot more comfortable. That's one thing you gotta be, guys. If you don't feel comfortable on the ride, then don't ride. But with this vest and all my gear, I felt very comfortable doing this 70-mile ride. And I know this goes without saying, but obviously the most favorite safety feature for mine is my helmet, so I can protect my head and my brain and my face. I know some riders don't like to wear helmets, but I just never been a big fan of that. I just don't feel safe at all, no matter what I do without a helmet. But as always, make sure your helmet is DOT compliant, and that it is up to date, and that it can protect you from any kind of collision. Any helmet after 5 years, give or take how much you ride, may not be as effective as a brand new one. So don't be afraid to replace your helmet every 5 years or so. And it is for your safety and for the safety of your body and your brain. Always think safety first when you ride, alright? Another thing that I knew well in advance of this ride was that Highway 73 was still under repavement, which means that all of these roads were being repaved or redone. And since I traveled this highway quite frequently, I knew that there would be changes of pavement periodically throughout this stretch between Port Arthur and Winning. And that's another hazard too. So again, don't be afraid to slow down and do whatever it takes to keep your bike upright and straight. And that's why you always gotta make sure you see where you can stop and adjust. So don't drive any faster than what you can see, because if you have a sudden drop off or a sudden change in pavement that you cannot control, you do not want to know the consequences. And if you dare do a lane change from one lane to another where the pavement is off or uneven, you be very, very careful. Honestly, I wouldn't even try it unless there's a dire emergency and you're going at a slow, comfortable speed. know that it's not lightning or anything else. With the sun just starting to creep up behind us, I think the iris of the GoPro camera was having difficulty deciding how much light to let into the lens. So it was debating between some or none. And that's why the lightning is occurring like this in the image right now. The GoPro just couldn't decide how much light to take in. It's alright. No harm done. as we were getting ready to go from Highway 73 onto I-10, I was not particularly happy with this pickup with the flatbed trailer who just cut in front of me without using his blinker. Because I was in the middle of preparing myself for the rapid acceleration from Highway 73 speed to Interstate 10 speed, and this guy had forced me to slow down. So I wasn't really happy about that. Please use your blinkers. There is obviously one major advantage to riding this early in the morning, and if you do get the opportunity to look east at this early morning, the beautiful colors of sunrise. How can you not love that? And that is the reason why I love doing these early morning rides. Or any ride for that matter across the great state of Texas. Now obviously with the sun coming up, the darkness is not that much of a factor right now. But since we are on a very deep country road on this FM 1410, there are some other hazards that come with it. Notably, that I've seen some buzzards that are picking up roadkill, but there is also the possibility of livestock escaping the pens, whether it's cows, horses, or bulls, whatever. Always keep an eye open for those. But another hazard that I might have seen on other roads is hogs. Wild feral hogs around here are a big issue. Now most of the time they'll be too scared by the noises and everything to get near the highway, but I have seen them running around next to the highway, just avoiding the roads altogether, but that is never a guarantee. So just keep an eye out for any stray livestock or other animals that might be on the roads. But in spite of all that, don't let any of that deter you from enjoying the beautiful countryside of East Texas, or no matter where you're traveling. Enjoy the sights and enjoy the ride. here in Raywood, we leave US Highway 90 west and get onto FM 770 north. We cross over these set of railroad tracks that is very, very active. It's active by the Union Pacific line, and also Amtrak borrows it here and there. So that's a very active line. You want to treat every single railroad crossing with the utmost caution. Look twice, listen closely, make sure you can proceed safely. As we enter the final stretch of this ride. As we finish out the last minute of this ride, allow me to thank you again for joining me on this beautiful early morning ride from Port Arthur to Daisetta, the beautiful small town of Daisetta. Hope you enjoyed the statistics and the safety tips. Do whatever it takes to make sure you have a safe ride. This is SFAPowerhouse signing off, but as always, ride safe, keep the rubber side down, and as always, enjoy the ride. Take care and God bless.